Hi everyone, this is Michelle at michellesizemore.com, and that's Michelle with one L in my first name on my website link. Today you'll learn how to make this idea using some of our newest Creative Memories products. This is I'm in September of 2023 for those of you who are watching on YouTube. All right, so I used the Autumn Harvest collection for these two papers. I used a brown cardstock and I used an embellishment pack called Days Well Spent. I believe that's what it's called. Let me look. I wrote it on the back here. Yep, Days Well Spent. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for the moment and pull out everything that I put together to make this layout. These two pieces of paper are from Autumn Harvest. They're a fun, bright blue with all these fall oranges mixed with the blue. It just makes it look vibrant and fun. It would be pretty for not just fall pages, but for boys or party, every day. I just really like the colors. I think they're lots of fun. So Autumn Harvest collection for these. And then this is from Days Well Spent. And then I have a brown piece of cardstock from the Creative Memories cardstock collection. So this is a power project folder. You have all these pockets where you can put embellishments and scraps of paper. You can put embellishments or scraps of paper here, or photos. And on the back, you could put strips of paper or sticker strips or laser cut borders. And then inside here, there's lots of room to put lots of paper and bigger items. So I'll use a ton of these. I love these power project folders, and they just help me to keep everything together and organized. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put my supplies to the side, grab my custom cutting system with my jumbo wavy square template, and this is my guide that goes with my template. Now, just to show you how this works, this guide, on this one, this light blue, almost aqua colored line is what matches up with the edges of my template. So it matches up with this inside edge and this outside edge. If you laid it right on there, it would match up with that little aqua kind of blue line. And then I'm going to leave it on here to show you about the blades. So we have red, green, and blue blades. I'm going to use the red blade today. So when you look on the outside, this is a track and this is a track. So if you want to cut a big wavy frame, you could cut 3 sizes. If you cut with the red blade, it'll be the smallest frame. Green blade would be a little bit bigger, and blue blade would be the biggest. So this is perfect for, like, if you wanted to cut one piece of paper with your red blade and then another piece of paper with the green or the blue blade, or both, then they would be perfect to matte, like give a matte effect on the bottom where the paper sticks out past what's on top. So that is how to use this, and I'm actually going to use this on a piece of paper. So on this, I actually cut the plaid out with a jumbo wavy frame and the red blade, and I mounted it on top of the blue. So let's do that. Now, one idea that I learned, a couple of ideas that I learned from Noreen. Noreen does our videos for Creative Memories on new products, and there's a current video where she shows how to use these templates, and she does a couple of extra things that I don't do. Now I'm going to just match this paper up with my mat, and I'm going to put a little bit of repositionable tape runner under each corner. Now the good thing about this repositionable tape runner is when I pull it up, I can just rub it off of my mat. So I just need a little bit just to keep my paper from sliding on me. I don't always do this, but it does help with these bigger templates, I think, because I do turn my mat when I use those. So now I'm going to put this on top. Now, if I was not planning to use the outside frame, I could literally put this anywhere and not worry about trying to measure it or make sure it's centered. But I do want to use this outside edge and what I cut out. So I want to make sure that my measurements line up. So I wrote with a Sharpie a little line at the center of each side, and that would match up with a 6-inch mark on each side, because that's the halfway mark. So I put little Sharpie marks at the 6 inches. I need to put one at the top of this. Forgot to do that, but I'm gonna put a little Sharpie line there, 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 and that will just help me show you when I teach and when I use this, just to highlight the halfway mark. Okay, you don't have to do that, but it's just a good visual for me. Okay, so I want to make sure all of my little lines on here match up with those. Now, I'm going to start here at the center and make sure they match up at the center. And if they do, then I just need to make sure they're lined up top and bottom. Okay, so another little trick that I learned from Noreen is to take just a little bit of painter's tape because it's removable. I just need a little bit, and I'm going to put, just a little. I'm going to put a little bit behind my template without sliding it on the top and the bottom. You don't have to do this, but it is nice to help make sure it doesn't slide on you. You just roll it so, you have a roll with the sticky on the outside. I need to make sure it all goes up in there so it doesn't mess up my cut. Okay. Again, I want to just double check and make sure my lines are all matched up here. They are. Okay. So that just gives me a little bit of security that it's not going to slip. Again, you don't have to do that, but it's handy. Now, when I use this blade, I like to go down and start at the top and pull toward me. I don't like to go sideways. It's just, I don't get as good of a grip that way. So I'm going to put these two little notches inside this track right here because I want the wave. The blade comes out right here on the outside. So that's why I chose that track. And I am just going to cut, and I'm pressing pretty firm, and I'm being careful as I go around the curves because it's easy for it to slip on you and for you to miss a spot. Like right here, I felt like I let up a little bit. So I'm just going to go backwards to make sure it cut all the way through because the blade goes both ways. Okay, now I'm going to turn the whole thing and go down and just keep doing that all the way around until I've gone all the way around. So then I'll end up with a frame and a centerpiece. And it does help to go slow, press pretty firm, and just to be careful. And if you do find that when you finish, you did slip up a little bit and not cut all the way through, you can just clean that up with your micro scissors. They're great for that. But I think I went all the way through. One way to know that is just to see if it pulls up. And it does. The whole thing pulls up. So I have this outside frame, which I'm going to show you on another page in this video how to use this. And then, let me set that aside. I have this. Oh, I forgot about my tape. So I'm just going to very gently take this off. Now, when you use this painter's tape, you just want to put it on very lightly and be careful when you pull it off because you don't want it to pull off the top layer of your pattern on your paper. So I'm just going to be real careful when I take it off, not just rip it off like ripping off a Band-Aid. And it doesn't take any of my pattern off. But I have done this where I ripped it too hard and it did make a little white spot on the top of my paper. I was able to kind of fix it with a colored pen, but it's better just not to have to do that. Okay, so I'm done with my custom cutting system for now. So I'm going to set that aside and grab my piece of blue paper, and then all I want to do is mount this on top. And neither one of these papers is directional with the pattern, so you can just eyeball it. So I'm going to put some dabs of this repositionable tape runner. I want to try to get every little curvy piece that sticks out, the outside part of the curvy piece, to make sure that's going to stick down well. And then just put a few dabs around. You don't want to whoosh it all the way down because you'll waste this because you don't need much. Okay. Now, and I love that that tape is repositionable so that if you get it and you put it down wrong, you can lift it and rearrange it. But over time in your scrapbook, it's going to settle down and become more permanent. So I'm just going to look at this and make sure that it looks like I have frame all the way around that's about the right size, and it is. So that's how I got that look. Now, I want to put this here, but I felt like since the outside color is light, it kind of got lost on here. So I decided to make a circle to put behind it here. So I'm going to grab my circles that go with the custom cutting system, and give me a second. I tried to be prepared, but I forgot to get this out. Now, I'm going to cut a circle the size of this brown one. So I believe I used number 1 on my guide. I've just numbered these for teaching purposes. I think that's what I did. Yeah, I used number 1, which means I put a number 1 on here. It's the smallest circle that goes with the custom cutting system. And I used the red blade on the outside. So I'm going to grab my red blade. I need to get my mat again that goes with the custom cutting system. Here it is. Just put my cardstock here. This is a scrap. And then I want to get as close to the edge as I can so that I don't waste my cardstock. This red blade comes real close to the edge, so I can get pretty close to the edge on this and put my 2 teeth in the track, just like I did with the jumbo, but it's just a smaller shape and it's a circle, and go all the way around. And then I'm going to put a little bit of repositionable tape runner on the back of this. And again, this is from our Days Well Spent embellishment pack. And just put it on there, and it gives it a pop of a darker color behind it so that it'll show up better on this pattern paper. Okay, and then all I do is add my photos, and I have cut 4x6 pieces of cardstock here that would just show you where I would put my photos. I would put them here, here, and here, and it's, you know, overlap them just a little bit, and then put this here, and I would just flip those over and use my repositionable tape runner to mount those down. So that's how that would work. Now, I'm going to show you what to do with the outside frame that I just cut out. So I saved this, which was the leftovers from what I just did. And I'm going to grab a new Power Project folder because I've got stuff in here to make something else. So you can get, you know, don't throw this away because it can be very useful. And I'm going to pull out, this is the idea I'm going to show you with that. Now, it looks very similar. Wow. Oh, actually, sorry about that. I used this side. So this looks very similar to what I just did, except it's got the darker blue in the middle and the pattern on the outside. So what I'm going to do with this one, and you really can't hardly tell, but what gives it the shape is this, not this. The blue is just a solid piece of paper. So I'm going to take my blue and mount this on top. And it's going to look very similar, but it's just a way to use my scrap. Now I'm honestly going to cut this blue down just a little bit so that it won't end up showing on the outside edge. I just need to cut a little bit off. I'm going to actually just sort of line it up a little bit past this second dotted line here, just to cut off a tiny bit, not much. Make sure it's straight at the top and cut, and save this because there's probably something you can do with it. I save everything and flip it one time and do the same thing. Make sure it's straight at the top to the other side. Now that just makes it so it's slightly smaller than my frame so that it should not poke out past the edges of my frame. Now this, I'm going to position this first. No, actually what I'm going to, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to position this first. Sorry, I changed my mind all the time. It probably drives y'all crazy, I bet. All right, I'm going to position it first, and then I'm going to go in and add my tape runner, because I just want to make sure that no blue is poking out the side and that only blue is shown in the middle. So I'm going to get my corners first. Make sure it's flat. Okay, I got one more corner. And then when I get all the corners done, I'll just kind of go back and sort of fill in some tape runner. Oops, I pulled too hard on that. There we go. All right, so then I'll just kind of pull it up and add a little bit of extra tape runner and stick it down, and do that all the way around. It's probably best to hit each curvy part just to make sure it's secure on your page. There we go, and rub it, but don't rub it too hard. And okay, see, I need to put a little piece there, and yeah, this edge, just a little dab at the edge of each curvy part underneath. Okay, so now, and you may find it bubbles up a little bit, which means you can just sort of pick it up and rub it back down so it's level. All right, and I might put a little bit more repositionable tape runner around, but just for time's sake, I'm not going to do that here. Okay, so then I add my photos and my embellishment. Really easy. So if I want to do what I did here, I did 2 4x4 photos and 1 4x6 photo, and then here I cut a piece of ruled paper to fit and journal on it. We have this ruled paper at CM. It's, there's my measurements, 3 inches by 4 inches. So it comes in big sheets, but I had a piece already cut down, so I just need to use this, like this is used in my scraps. I need to use this and cut it to the right size. So it needs to be 3 inches by 4 inches. So I'm gonna, and it needs to be 3 inches wide. So I'm going to measure that up here at the 3. Make sure it follows this grid line all the way down and it's straight at the top, and cut. So now I have 3 inches wide, and then I'm going to flip it, put it at the 4 and cut so that it'll be 4 inches tall. And then that would be this size right here. And then I would add my embellishment down here, and I would just use that with the repositionable tape runner. And this is using that Days Well Spent embellishment pack as well. And I have a bent piece of my scrap paper here, so I'm going to put it on the bottom and just cover it up so it doesn't look bent. And that's how you get 2 different looks, two similar looks, but cutting it different ways. So save your frame on the outside, use the middle and the frame. And on another video, I'm going to show you how you can get even more ideas out of this. But I just wanted to show you those ways to use the outside edge and the inside edge that you cut out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.